Welcome back to another episode of Mike Check Real Life. I am your host, Mike. As always, I am very happy to have you here joining me right now. Many of you may have noticed that I have been absent for a couple of weeks. It's been kind of an interesting couple of weeks. We've had some challenges. My wife, Melissa, fell and broke her patella, and the outcome was kind of extreme being the situation. She had to have surgery, and it's been a little bit of a recovery. She is doing better. The surgery went very well. They were able to actually do what they had hoped to be able to do, but they didn't think they were going to be able to do. But thankfully, God is better than any surgeon, and we have a surgeon that is a believer. He made amazing strides, and God was in all of it. That being said, our faith has been challenged. But we have come through. My last episode, I was talking about the lease coming up due here on this building, and my buddy who was stepping away, moving his business into his home, which, again, if I was in his shoes, I'd be doing the same thing. He's an amazing friend. And even though he's moving out, he has chose to stick with us at least and support Mike Check. Now, not at the level that we were working before, but that's okay. He's got a business to run. We have not had the outpouring that I was hoping that we would have. But again, man plans and God laughs, right? And so not only did we not have a lot of people come forward, but our finances got hit on the other end as well. Many of the things that we do for the kingdom, we started looking at, like with Melissa being out of work and the things that happened. We're human beings. We love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. That again, we are humans. And when things get tough in the physical, we tend to lose track of what God can do, despite everything that he's already done for us, right? I'm sure many of you have experienced that. And I think that's just one of those things that he would like me to share here for those of you that maybe don't have faith, that have never really experienced that. Again, our audience is a lot of people that may not have had the opportunity to trust God. And here we sit knowing that he's never failed us, that even the bad times he's turned for good and he's used for his glory and for us to reach people. The fact that we're sitting here is evidence of that. And so in a lot of prayer, there were some things we thought, well, maybe we'll have to shut down the studio because we don't have the funds to do it. Maybe we will have to stop doing some other things that we do because right now with Melissa being out of work, we don't have the funds to do things and things are going to be tight. But in a lot of prayer, and my wife, God love her, she's just got a heart to serve, and I love to serve, and we just love to walk out faith. It's not easy. Actually, it's quite hard and quite painful. It's really hard when you don't see things in the natural to move forward. But what we've chose to do is we've chose to walk forward. So despite her being out of work, despite the shop being shut down for a significant amount of time and losing the revenue, it's not a real profitable business, and everything that we bring in, we put out to further the kingdom. We have chosen to continue moving forward. We're going to not only continue moving forward at the pace that we were, but we've chosen to go even further. And so our giving, we've chosen to up our giving, even though our income has taken a drastic turn right now. Like a buddy of mine reminded me yesterday, like he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. Everything that we have is his. Like the provision is already there. We just have to walk it out. And so I do want to apologize for throwing a fleece out, as I stated in my last podcast, where I said, I'm just going to put the challenge out there, and if he provides in advance, then we'll go ahead and move forward. That's not the way to walk out faith. The way to walk out faith is to say, this is his, this is what he called us to do, and we're going to continue doing it. We've had a lot of people reach out to us and encourage us that this is reaching people and this is what we're supposed to be doing. So I shouldn't put a financial number on that. We've had multiple people tell us in the past couple of weeks to not quit, to keep going, and people that we trust and we value. And I don't believe, and I said this in the last episode, that I don't believe that this is the time that he wants us to quit. And it's not because I want to continue moving forward with it, because it's what I want to do. I've said many times, I just want to be in his will. And so we have had many people that have been impacted that have said that they want to move forward. They want to see us move forward with this. And so what I've chose to do here is I've chose to commit to a 1-year lease. Despite the support not being there, I just believe that God's going to provide and he's going to make it happen. And I'm willing to trust him because he's always come through. I will tell you in my life, there has only been one constant for me, and that is God. As I look back, I can see that he's always been there. My creator has never left me. Now, I've walked away from him several times, but even when I walked away from him, he stayed right there with me and protected me. Obviously, he let me suffer some consequences for my choices, as any good father would do with their child. However, he's always been there when I have turned back to him. He's always received me with open arms and loved me and made good out of my bad choices. I've had to deal with the consequences, but he's always used it to further his kingdom and that he would get the glory. We decrease that he may increase. And so I know that he's going to do that here too. I don't know what it looks like, but I need to be here for those of you that need to hear these testimonies, that need to hear the things that I talk about in here. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a prophet. I'm a guy with experience that just your average Joe, your average Mike, that God has worked miracles in every stage of my life, from miraculous healings to the keeping me out of bad places and bad stuff, and even the consequences not being as heavy as they should have been. And so I refuse to give up ground that the Lord has taken. If we give up ground, that just means the enemy gets to take that ground. And as a veteran, I will tell you, when we go into battle, we don't give up ground. You keep the ground you take. If you do give up ground, you see what happens in some of these situations in the past, in the news. I don't want to get political or anything like that, but we'll just mention like Afghanistan, when we pulled out of Afghanistan the way we did a couple of years ago, how bad that turned out and what we're looking at now over there. But that being said, we are in a spiritual battle, and as believers, as warriors in the kingdom, we're to advance. The kingdom is to advance, and we're not to flee, and we're not to just surrender. And so that being said, we've chose to move forward. We're going to move forward with the shop. My wife, God love her, she decided to go to work today to try to at least take care of the clients that she had to reschedule over the past short time that she had to close the shop. And so she's not taking new clients, but she's decided to bring in the clients that we had to reschedule or cancel, because that shop is more than a business to her. It is a ministry that God gave her. And her heart is to work with young ladies and to train them up so that they could actually have a future. They'd be able to learn a valuable service, and one that's highly sought after, and even be able to have their own business someday. We never went in this wanting employees, long-term employees. We wanted to build up young women so that they would have a future. So it was given to her, and so she wants to give back. And so we're going to continue with the business, whatever that looks like. Some of the other things that he has us doing, we haven't talked about it. It's something that we've been doing for the past, I think, 20 months. And it's, again, I don't like talking about it. I'm not one that likes to talk about the things that we do for the kingdom. However, that is one of the things that the Lord is working on me, as that in and of itself can also be a pride thing, hiding your light under a basket, so to say. There are people out there that have a heart for some of the things that we do, that if we don't allow them to partner with us, then we're robbing them of the blessing, and we never want to rob anybody of the blessing. And so we have kept quiet for some time about a project we have in our community. We have a widow's home where we house widows, and I already feel it in my throat, like talking about it. I don't like to talk about it because I never want it to seem like we're patting ourselves on the back or anything like that. And again, that's God working on me and my pride. It's okay to allow people to care for widows and orphans. It's something that we are passionate about. If you go back and listen to my story, I mention a woman that God put in my path when I was young. Her name was Dixie, and she took me in as a young street kid, and she gave me a place regularly where I could lay my head to be safe, where I could eat, where I could shower, where I could be safe. And when we got this house, we initially got it as an investment, and God shut all of that down. And then he broke my heart and told me that maybe we should be using this as a home for widows in Dixie's honor. And so that's what we did. We opened that up, and we've been carrying that out of pocket for the past 20 months. And that's what we're using that home for. We have moved forward and we have registered it as a Tennessee nonprofit and working on the 501c3 aspect of that. And so that way we can let it become its own entity and move forward and grow on its own, build a board of directors. It can run in perpetuity. The house will go into a irrevocable trust so that it will always be there for the ladies, even if something happens to Melissa or I. It can continue on without us. Because that is one thing with doing it all on our own. If anything were to happen to us, it would affect the ladies that we serve. And we never want that to happen. We don't want anything to ever come where they would be displaced because something happened to us. And so that's something we're working on, and we're continuing to move forward with it. We were looking at that as like, that's our primary ministry. This is a secondary. The shop is a secondary. Although the shop funds the other stuff, we're thinking, oh gosh, with this knee break, we're going to have to shut down the podcast. We're going to have to not do the lease. We're going to have to, maybe shut down the business or look at how the business works different. And we were just panicking. We got caught in fear and anxiety, and fear is not of the Lord. And so with that, what we decided to do is we said, nope, stop, full stop right there. Nothing is stopping. We're not going to quit anything. If anything, we're going to pick up. We're going to pick up our giving. We're going to pick up our service. We're going to continue moving forward. I work for my church. I'm going to put in more hours, or there was all these things that were just like, and just God just slowed us down and is like, trust me, just trust me in this. And so that's what we've decided to do. We've decided to trust him, and that's what we're going to do. So I've already emailed the landlord here. I told him, yes, we will do the lease. I will do a 1-year lease so I can continue the podcast. We can continue with the studio here. Melissa's back to work. God love her. She's training her young ladies. And I think that's part of this process is God saying, stop doing everything yourself and train the young ladies. You've got young ladies, train them. That's what I gave this to you for. If you're not going to be able to work with the ones you have now, how are you going to work with the population that your heart is for, that I'm bringing to you? Because the young ladies we have now are very easy to work with. They listen. They're motivated. They have a desire to learn. What happens when you're working with a population that may not be so motivated? They may not have a family structure that supports them. They may not, they may come out of some situations, whether that's, prison or addiction or off the streets or something like that. Like, he doesn't clear the land right now so that, the wildlife can take it over. He does things in stages. And so right now we're in a stage. And Melissa was trying to do everything herself and limit what the young ladies that he's brought her can do. And so we've chosen to take this opportunity, since she is lacking mobility right now, to take a couple of the young ladies that she's been working with and actually train them more. Get them used to working with the dogs and, washing, trimming nails, clipping hair, the things that are involved with dogs. So I believe that's what one of the lessons in here is for her. The lesson in for me is to continue walking in faith and allow God to do what God does. Don't hide your light under a bushel. Your light should be seen from the mountaintops. Allow those that God will bring. If you keep everything a secret, it's hard for people to want to partner in things, right? And so allow people to partner in things. Allow people to do what they can do. Now, if they can't do it, they can't do it. That doesn't mean that it's failing. Many of you that are watching this podcast that listen to me on the audio portion or watch it on the YouTube portion, you don't have the ability to support. And we appreciate that because we've been there. We've been homeless and destitute and hungry and all of those things. And so to expect that of people that cannot do it, when that's your primary audience that you're focusing towards, it's irrational. It's irrational. And so he will bring people, especially when we walk out in faith, especially when we dedicate things to him. Again, we decrease that he may increase. And there comes testimony just in all of that. Because as people know, you don't have the ability to do this or the finances to do that, and yet they watch it succeed. I'll tell you, with the widow's home, we haven't had the finances to do that, though, for the past 20 months. And yet, in the natural fact of the statement, it's not like we're inundated with finances, the amount of money that goes out for that widow's home. And yet God has provided above and beyond every month. We've never worried about it. 20 months, we've been able to pay on that widow's home, the utilities, the lease payment, everything that goes with that. There has never been a lack. Despite our lack in the natural, he's always provided. He's always made a way. There's always been enough and not even close to failing. This next month is the closest that we will have come in 20 months to going, will there be enough? However, we're not going to ask that. We just know there's going to be enough. We just know it's going to happen. There's so many stories out there of things that and I can't really verbatim tell you the stories, but I remember hearing about in England, a pastor that had a youth home that prayed for food for the kids because they had nothing, and yet milk would show up on the door or step in the morning or things like that. I don't know the exact story, but you hear about these miracles. I see it all the time. I mean, I see it in my own life. The fact that I'm still alive, the fact that I had meals, the fact that Dixie came into my life or Marilyn came into my life, the people that he put in my life, Mark and Tina, so many people. I mean, I can go down the list and I can name so many people. These are the people that are super dear to me. I can see where he always provided. Again, I talked to my testimony about all my friends either being dead or going through the prison system. And yet I'm not dead and I've not been to prison. Like he spared me from so much. Like my life is a living testimony of his goodness when he has a plan for somebody and he believes in us. It's like, why can't we believe in him? And so we're just going to keep moving forward. We don't know what that looks like. We don't care what it looks like as long as it's his will. So, there's other things that I've been struggling with over the past couple of weeks. I'm a guy that, I don't know, I'm too analytical. When people don't reach out and make contact, I feel like it's a personal attack, and I shouldn't feel that way. People have their own lives and are busy. Our urgent matters don't necessarily mean that we need to be people's urgent care. So, I've struggled some in this process. We have had some amazing people that have contacted us and been in touch with us. But then we've had some people that we thought, wow, I thought they cared about us, and we haven't heard from them. And I don't know, I haven't talked about this with Melissa. This is just my, thing, I guess. I don't know, my hang up. Just like, wow, we're going through this really tough time right now. Like, I don't know how to cook. I'm not a caretaker. Here I find myself needing to take care of my wife, which I have no problem with. She spent so much time taking care of me. I love her, and I will do whatever needs to be done for her. But I thought at least we'd have, people stepping in. Hey, can we do this or can we do that? But we've had some amazing people reach out to us during this time that we know now care about us. Well, we knew then that they cared about us, but they've really shown how much they cared about us. And so that's another thing I think that a lesson needed to come out of this. So with all of that being said, again, when I don't have testimonies coming in here to, people coming in to share their testimonies, I tend to not ramble on for an hour. I think I'm at like 24 minutes right now, maybe 20 minutes right now, and feel like I'm running out of things to say. But the big thing is I just want to encourage you. Like, he will meet you in the storm. I was talking to a brother earlier. Here's something that really encouraged me. I was talking on my way here. I gave a call to a brother, and we were talking about the fire. It's painful being in the fire, but it's because he's in the fire, and we never like to be in the fire. But if you think about the refining process, he talks in the word about the refiner's fire. The fire is very hot. It's hard to walk through the fire. But there's a purpose to the fire, and that's to purify the gold. It's to burn off the dross, right? And so we're in a constant state of purification as long as we walk with the Lord. As long as we call ourselves his and he calls us his, then he will work on us as any parent does, as any good father does with his child. He trains them up. Right? And sometimes that training is painful. If you've ever got a tap on the backside or anything like that, you'll know that it's not always fun to be trained. It's painful to be trained, but we learn a valuable lesson to be trained. I remember when I was a kid, my dad's house, they had an old oil stove in the dining room. And I used to go down and hover around that stove when I was little and try to stay warm. And I'd lean up against the stove. I'd lean up against the stove. And my dad every morning, don't lean against the stove. You're going to burn yourself. Don't lean against the stove. You're going to burn yourself. And I just kept leaning and kept leaning and kept leaning. And he never pushed me away from the stove or spanked me for leaning against the stove. He never once forced me away from the stove. He just told me, get away from that stove. You're going to burn yourself. And I don't know. I was probably 6 or 7. And one morning I got up and I was cold and I leaned against the oil stove with no shirt on. I think I had a pair of shorts on, no shirt, and I leaned up against that oil stove and I burnt my belly all the way across. It blistered. It was painful, excruciating. But guess what? I never did again after I leaned against that stove and burnt myself. Not another day did I ever lean against that stove. That stove burnt me. I got burnt. It was a refiner's fire. I learned a valuable lesson through that heat. I remember another time where I was playing with a electrical outlet. And as I continued to play with the electrical outlet, my dad kept telling me, don't play with that outlet. It's going to shock you. And again, I was little. I was probably 5 or 6. I was not a very smart kid at 5 or 6 or 7. I kept playing with the electrical outlet, and my mom was freaking out. My dad, quit letting him play with the electrical outlet. Stop him. And my dad just said, no, he'll learn. He'll learn. He'll learn. And eventually I stuck something in an electrical outlet, and it shocked me, and it threw me back. And I laid there crying, and my dad looked down at me, and he says, I bet you don't do that again. And he was right. Guess what I never did again? I never, ever stuck anything in that electrical outlet again. To this day, I'm cautious when I plug anything in. I don't like electricity. And so those are just 2 very prime examples in my life of where the pain, the shock, the anguish taught me a valuable lesson. And so that's what Melissa and I are hoping to do in this process. There's some pain, there's some shock. However, we're choosing to learn a valuable lesson. Now, we can't let it stop us. Melissa has a ministry in that business. She can't let a broken knee stop her, which is why, God love her, she's there today working, even though she probably shouldn't be. I understand, because I'm the same guy that even when I shouldn't be working, there's things that I'm supposed to do, I go do. Finances have taken a hit. Just means we've got to cut back. We just decided not to take a paycheck out of the shop this pay period so that we can make sure our girls get paid and we can make sure to keep the doors open. Again, we're going to move forward when we should say no in the physical to taking on a new lease. We're going to take on a new lease because this is kingdom work. It's kingdom focus. This isn't about us. This isn't about what we can gain. It's about what we can give and what we can do for the kingdom. Like, we really have a desire to reach people for the kingdom. And I don't know what else he's going to bring in our path during this time. We're going to pray about things as they come. But when we feel he says yes, then we're going to say yes. If he says for us to say no, then we're going to trust that no's the right answer. We can already see some areas where he's moving and saying, okay, you need to make this decision that may not make you happy, but it's the right direction to go. You may have to say no here, which there's some situations we did have to say no in. However, in the right situations, we're going to say yes when we feel he's leading us to say yes, and he's giving us wise counsel through those that we trust. And so with people telling us, don't quit the podcast. It's making a difference. Don't quit the business. It's making a difference. Just don't stop. We're not going to stop. We're going to keep going. We're going to go in full force. And so with that, I have this one request for you. And this is not a financial request. This is a prayer request. Even if you're not somebody that's privy to prayer or that is a praying person, if you would just take this opportunity to say a quick prayer for us. Pray, not that God would do what God does, because we know he will do. Pray for us that we would continue in our faith and that we wouldn't get caught up in the negativity, the woe was me, the why did this have to happen? Like, we just consider Job. Like, Job wasn't attacked by the enemy because Job was a bad guy. Matter of fact, God is the one that brought Job's name up. God said, consider my servant Job. Like, he brought Job to the enemy's attention so that he could be glorified. God could be glorified. And when Job came through all of that, God rewarded him and gave him even more than he had lost. And now we're not seeking to have more than we've lost. We just want to walk through with the faith of Job. So if you would please pray for us that we would continue moving forward with the faith that Job had, that we'd be able to glorify the Father in everything that's happening right now. He would get glory. He would be magnified. His kingdom would be furthered, that it would be encouraging to others around us, that it would be encouraging to those of you watching us. Please pray with us. That's all we have to ask this week. This week, we're not asking for finances. We're not asking for anything more than your prayer, and that you would be encouraged by what God does in our lives and in the lives of those around you. And you can look at people and go, man, life really hit them hard, but yet they're smiling and they have joy in their suffering. We want to be the ones having joy in our suffering. We want you to be encouraged when you see people suffering with joy. Doesn't mean it's fun, doesn't mean it's painless, doesn't mean we're happy. It means we're joyful. We find joy in the Lord. He finds joy in our suffering. Again, consider Job. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast now, get it mixed and get it out. I'd like to have them out on Sundays. It just wasn't possible. This is a Monday episode. I pray that you're all doing well. I do want to say hello to the people around the world that are watching. Thank you so much, or listening even. Thank you so much. I wish I spoke all of your languages. Hopefully that it's being actually translated into your languages, but I just want to thank you and all of the regions outside of the United States around the world that are listening to this podcast, that this is reaching. We are praying for you, especially those that are being persecuted. We are praying for you. We actually are encouraged by your faith, because in your persecution, you show faith. We can't even consider this persecution with what some of you are experiencing. And so thank you for your faith, and we find strength in your faith. And so we will continue to be reaching out and recording episodes. We may even up the episodes and try to find new ways. I still got to figure out how to do the call-ins. I still got to figure out our morning, my Jesus and Joe conversations I'm looking at trying to do with the coffee mornings with some of the guys and things like that. Whatever it looks like, I don't know what it looks like. Just be praying for us. We love you. As always, we are so happy. You could be spending your time with anybody, and yet you're spending your time here. So thank you for your time. God bless you. We love you. Shalom.